Welcome back, everybody. Once again, we're, as always, excited to be here for week 4, 22 season of the BSB. I'm Sean Cows,
I'm Tony James.
and we are your betting strategy brothers. And this is, we're here on Thursday. We've done a Wednesday show this week. We've done a Saturday. I think we did a Friday. We're getting like COVID NFL where there's one of us on every day of the week.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Exactly what I was going to say.
You can see, even though we mainly talk football, we are all sports. We've said that many times. I'm wearing my Yankees jersey. It is, and I'm not going to turn around, but it is number 23. You know who number 23 is, don't you?
Donnie B.
Donnie Baseball, who is no longer going to be a manager, but that's okay. But it's more in honor of Judge, getting the record. Congratulations. That dude betted himself big time and fucking won.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but I don't think he's going to be a Yankee. But I was listening to Stephen A today saying he thinks he's going to be a Met. Kind of made sense, although he's going to get crucified if he goes down the subway. But it did make sense. They got the money and they're right there competing. But it's I hate to lose him, but he bet himself and won.
Yeah, so you got to give him. You definitely got to give him points. Like he's the poster child for bet on yourself and believe on yourself right now, right? But you're right. If he goes to the Mets, he'll get just like all the goodwill that he has built up. Like let's say for some reason he signed with the Giants. The Yankees fans wouldn't like it, but the Giants are in a different division, different coast. Okay, whatever. You're closer to where you're from. Fine, whatever. If he goes across town, he all that goodwill and all that positivity that he's built up, just gone.
I think they're the Dodgers. It'd be gone. Past that, excuse me. I think he'd go anywhere, and the Dodgers would love him, or the Yankees fans will love him. But and I keep saying it's not going to happen. But could you imagine Ohtani, Trout, and Judge on the same freaking team? Holy crap, that would be
my goodness!
Insane.
That team may never lose again. Holy smokes!
Yeah, I was going to say, let me put my bets in on them on those Angels next year, right? Freaking now, if that happens. So,
but I mean, they like okay. So let's just say just for shits, right? That they all are on the Angels, right? That's great, but who's going to pitch? And the Angels have proven already that they could have two superstar players, and they're going to win 75 games this year. 75.
But, okay, you first of all, you're forgetting Ohtani's going to pitch. So when he's on the mound, that's a pretty good indicator they're going to win. But if you have, two juggernauts, you can kind of pitch around a little bit. When you got three, you can't do. You have to go through them. And I think if they were to do that, which one again, I don't think that would happen, but I think if they were to do that, they wouldn't care about that. They put all their money in that and go, we're going to outscore you. We're going to win games 11-10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that worked for them in 2002 for sure. I mean, that's pretty much what they did. But
what a year for baseball. This year, it reminded me, and I realized it was roids or whatever, but I loved watching Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire fight for the champion. That was so exciting as a fan. The roids thing wasn't, it really got big after the fact. I'm just like any other fan. I'm kind of salty about it, but it was still fun in the moment to watch. You're Pujols becoming 700, Judge tying Maris, and who knows if he'll break it or not. But just it's one of those years where, and I don't think baseball was hurting for fans, but it was one of those years that definitely brought fans back to the game. And it was like, this was a fun freaking year to watch, Pujols, you knew early, like, he's got a chance, but he's old, and will he get there? And then he started getting closer, like, holy shit, he's going to get there. Let's start watching. And Judge, I'm a Yankees fan, so I'm watching as much as I can. But then all of a sudden, it's like 40, 45, 50. Holy shit, he's getting close. And, so that's what this year has reminded me of. And we still haven't even got to the playoffs yet.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens in this playoff run.
Yeah, I agree. All right, back to the show. We are teachers by trade. And we've said that many times. We are teachers by trade. So while we don't guarantee any predictions, we're here to do this for entertainment. We're here to do it for fun. It's really fun for us. We hope it's really fun for you guys. And we're really hoping you learned something. And you could learn something, and I didn't know that, or you could look at that and go, yeah, but I disagree, and go either way. We're helping you get perspective. We're helping you maybe learn some new stuff, and hopefully it's helping you on your week or your weekends or whatever you're betting, and getting a little getting, even if it's not coin in your pocket, even if you're not doing well, at least it's making it a lot more entertaining, and you can feel a little bit better as on your bets.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's always more fun to have a little skin on the game. So, and you know what, Callis, I hope they're listening to you and not necessarily to me, because I am taking. Oh man, last week was brutal.
Well, and we've said it before, we'll say it again. Weeks 2, 3 are the hardest to bet and improve. I didn't win a bet last on the show. I did. Now, if you guys are following us on Twitter or whatever, I got lucky. I mean, that's all it was lucky. But I put on 10 to win 85 that Singletary would be the first touchdown scorer in the Bills game, and he was, and I hit that, and it was big. And that got thrown out on Twitter. So, and we've said that before, we make a lot more bets than we do on the show. We only have so much time on the show. But so yes, I did win there, but as far as what we put on the show, I didn't win anything last week. So, but I'm also, I don't want to say I'm not betting as much, but I'm betting a little. Like sometimes you get a little crazier with your bets than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it starts, and then at the end I get a lot more crazier, because I know the first, for week 1, 2, 3, 4, they're the toughest. And then after that, you start getting a feel for it. You start flow. You start to know who's injured, and, what rookies are starting to play, are doing well, and, getting out of the gates, and which aren't, and, what moves are made. So, the first few weeks are tough on anybody.
Yeah, and you're exactly right. We're still trying to figure out who everybody is. And now we're starting to see injuries take over, and so there's so many variables that are in play right now. And I think you're right, Cal. Once the calendar turns to October, we start to see who's really who, and it does make it a little bit easier from a betting standpoint. I mean, yeah, they still have to play the games, but you're going to know who, after week 4, you'll probably be able to look at the standings and go, yep, those are probably my playoff teams. Those teams probably don't have a chance, and everybody else is just fighting in the middle.
Well, and I'm not picking or whatever. I'm just using an example. Like Carson Wentz. Okay, now he's on a different team. How's he going to do? Oh, he looks like wildfire when he starts out, and then all of a sudden, nope, he's still Carson Wentz. And same thing with Matt Ryan. Like, is it going to be his resurgence, or is he going to go down and play? Like, so that type of stuff you don't know at the beginning of the year, and you're going on previous knowledge, you're going on trends, you're going on whatever you can.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of this is feeling too, and what you feel and what you see and what you think, and there's eye tests and everything like that. So, excuse me, all that stuff can change after the first few weeks, because then it's like, okay, I've seen them. I have, your sample size in week 1 is nothing, because we talked about it. They don't play preseason. Week 2, we got 1 week, and it's and that's some of it too. They haven't played, so they're getting used to each other. Like, if I'm Matt Ryan, I'm throwing the ball up, or I mean Arizona, none of the starters played preseason, so not that I'm an Arizona fan, but Kyler Murray, like he doesn't have, he has that route timing in practice, and I know they have joint practices, but he hasn't had true game reps, game, like I'm going to throw it this far and Hollywood's going to be exactly there. Like by week 5, 6, I mean, they pretty much got it down. But until then, it's a crapshoot how it's going to be. So
for sure.
But something that doesn't change week to week is how we like to enjoy our Sundays, and that's we like to have a little drinky when we
Yes.
enjoy our Sundays, like most people do. So every week we have a flavor of the week, what we're drinking, what we're enjoying or not enjoying, whatever it is. Last week I went with the king of beers, Budweiser. This week I'm going with the queen of beers. I'm going with Coors Light.
Nice.
My father-in-law brought it over for the Bills game last Sunday. And it was left in the fridge, and I was going to go to the store, and I looked, I go, oh, I haven't done Coors Light. I used to drink it like water. And then I realized it just is water. So it's one of those where it's like, I can pound a 12-pack with no problem, and it's nothing, and it's just like water, and it's it's one of those beers where it's just there. It's nothing like, oh my god, this is great. It's nothing like this is the worst thing ever. It's just it's there.
Well, you know what you're going to get, right? You know
correct.
That, and that's the predictability of Coors Light or Bud Light. That there's something to be said about that. You're going to have a 6-pack on a Sunday, probably going to be okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
yep. What are you drinking this week?
I am showing some love to Florida and Maine today. I've got some Sea Dog Brewing's Blood Orange wheat, I believe it is. Yeah, Blood Orange wheat. It's actually kind of tasty. But when I went to Portland 6 or 7 years ago, I stopped by this place and it was delightful. It's not very bitter. It's pretty light. And it's Thursday, so I do have to work tomorrow. So I want to make sure that I'm functional and effective. So I'm going to have something light tonight and enjoy myself.
Well, we're obviously feeling for those people in Florida right now getting affected. I got a couple of friends of mine that are in the pathway. If it gets there or not, or how bad it is when they get to them, then we're all praying for them and everything. But part of that goes with what we talk about all the week is your strategy. And one thing you got to think about is, how does weather affect it? We've talked more and more about how domes, are going to have higher scoring. You're going to have, more field goals. You're going to have this and that and the other thing. They're talking about, I don't know if you saw Tampa Bay, Kansas City game might not even be there. They're talking about, and it is Thursday, and they still don't know where they're playing for sure, and they could be going all the way to Minneapolis to play. Yeah.
And I'm like, that wrecks your travel. That wrecks your plan. You could go from sleeping in your own bed before the game to sleeping in a hotel 1,500 miles away and not have much advance notice on that.
Well, and if you've ever played the game, there's a lot of routine and there's a lot of this and that goes into it, and that routine is just in your practice times, your walkthroughs, your everything that all gets thrown off when that happens. So and that affects your gambling. So those are things you got to think about. So before we get in this week's picks, let's remind everybody what happened last week. We are transparent, win or lose. We're not trying to sit here and say we win everything, because we don't. And I got my ass kicked last week. I didn't win a bet. I lost on the show. I lost 30 on the Buffalo Miami over. I lost my $20 parlay because probably with the rest of the world, lost on KC. And then my teaser, I had Buffalo in my teaser, and that was one of those where we talked about the good and the bad with putting the same team in the bets, and I took my chances because I was pretty big, and that didn't happen. And then on top of that, it didn't even matter. Buffalo would have won. I had Diggs and Kelsey scoring. Kelsey scored. Diggs didn't hold it his end of the bargain, and he didn't score, so I lost $20 on my player prop bet. So I started with 198, bet $90. So I'm down to 108 plus the weekly 100 that we afford ourselves each week. So I'll start this week with 208.
Well, I'm kind of in a similar spot. I lost my straight bet by half point on the over. It was 52.5, and the final was 28-24. So that was pretty awesome. That was with Detroit, Minnesota.
That's why they put the half point there.
Yeah, for sure. If it was 52, I push and get my money back. I lost my parlay because of Washington. They didn't even show up. I lost my teaser because I kept betting overs, and the two games that I had, the Chiefs game and the Rams game, both went under. I lost my prop bet because Carr was throwing to Matt Collins instead of Devontae Adams. And so I started with 162. I bet 110. I got back a whole bag of nothing. So I'm at 148. So 48 plus the weekly 100.
So that's what happens when you bet on Carson Wentz. I'm just saying.
Yeah, well, I have a feeling he might show up or might not show up this week.
I'm going to go not show up. All right, let's get into our picks.
All right.
We always start with the straight pick, which is just we're betting one thing to happen. So it could be who wins on the money line or the spread, which each one of those has its own odds. Or you could pick over or under. So this week I'm taking Houston +5.
Oh, that's bold.
Okay. Is it really that bold? Is my question. When you look at that matchup, when you look at the fact that Davis Mills he's kind of like Coors Light. You know what you're going to get. It's there. He's not absolute horrible, but he's there. He's going to do a little bit, and Houston's not terrible. And the big thing is the Chargers. And I'm not doing, too much of the press and everything is overreaction. Oh my God, Buffalo's terrible again. Oh my God, Miami's the best team in the league, or Philadelphia's the best team in the league. And I'm not saying they're not a good team, but it's just like there's overreactions. I'm not overreacting saying, oh, the Chargers are done. But what I did notice is, Herbert was afraid. He was afraid. He was playing injured. He didn't want to get hit. He was not making his full reads. He was getting out early. And I love Herbert. We talked about the show, how we think he's freaking good. But it's just there's too much going against them there. And I do think Houston loses the game, but I think it's a field goal game. I don't think that Chargers cover the full 5. And one thing we talked about trends a lot last week, when you look at trends for Houston, Houston's 3-0-1 against the spread in their last 4 games. So that goes back to last season. And then they're 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 against the AFC. So and that's with the same helm, the same everything. So like I'm taking that, and I'm going to go, my $20 is going to win me 18, and I'll be good with that.
And Houston, the thing about Houston is like we think about them just being god awful, right? Like last year they were just a dumpster fire with everything going on. Every game this year has been a 1-score game.
Correct.
They tied the one game, the opener, and they lost by 7 to the Broncos in Denver, and then they lost by 3 to the Bears. So it's not like they're getting like outplayed, score wise, but they're not getting like they're not getting boat raced. They're in every game, and I like the fact that you're taking the 5. You're taking the 5 at home against a banged up quarterback who did not look good last week. I think that's a solid pick.
No, and I understand that. When you talk about who they've played, they haven't played shit. They haven't really played that good. But you got Bosa's out for the Chargers. He's not playing, so that makes it easier for Mills. They got a new left tackle in, which is going to play into Herbert's injury a lot. He's going to be afraid. You didn't even know if Keenan Allen's going to play. So it's more of a depleted Chargers for me than it is a Houston's good enough to hang with them.
Well, that makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
That's where I'm at. What's your straight pick this week?
I'm going with your boys this week. I'm going on the Buffalo is pissed train. And so I'm taking Buffalo -3 against the Ravens. I think Buffalo's just way better. I think last week was kind of that one game where like they should have won that game. They should have won. And for all the reasons that they didn't, I think that those get fixed this week. I love their chances. I love the defense going up against Lamar Jackson because I think they're going to be able to take Lamar Jackson out of his game. And if they make Lamar Jackson throw the ball, I think that's going to be big time good for Buffalo. I'm taking them -3. The Bills are 7-1-1 against the spread in their last 9 games, following against the spread loss, and 6-1-1 in their last 8, following a straight up loss. I think this is a great chance for Buffalo to start getting redemption. I think they win this game.
Yeah, I mean, you saw tonight the Miami game's already over. Tua's hurt, and hopefully, we don't ever want to see anybody get hurt like that. But hopefully he's all right. Hopefully he come back because as a Bills fan, I want to be able to say we beat the best. And it was Tua was concussed and he came back and that whole thing and whatever. They beat us. Fine. Allen screwed the pooch on that pass to McKenzie. McKenzie doesn't freaking get out of bounds. It is what it is. And I'm not making excuses. We lost. We played like shit. But going into the game, we were missing 5 defensive starters, and they're going, "Oh, Miami's going to score this." And I even thought Miami was going to score, and I thought Buffalo was going to score just as many.
Same.
But it did not happen, and that just goes to show you what Buffalo's defense can do in their depth and what Leslie Frazier has schemed up for him. He's just good. He's not a head coach. I'm sorry. He's not a head coach, but he is a damn good defensive coordinator.
And you know what? And you can make a good living being an assistant coach. There's nothing wrong with that. We talk about that in our profession, right? Like I have no desire to move up in the ranks. I want to do just what I do, and I'm perfectly happy. I think that's what Frazier is as well. You're right. He's great at being a defensive coach. Head coach, not so much, but a fantastic defensive coach. Absolutely. 100%.
I agree. Well, and part of this too is when, you look at Baltimore, they got rookies in the backfield that are just getting freaking cooked like Christmas ham. You got freaking their left. I read today, they're on their 4th left tackle. And when you look at Buffalo last week, they had some third stringers in because guys were going down because the heat and everything like that. But I mean, they're not, and he doesn't have, his MVP year, he had a run game to support him. He doesn't have that now. It's just not there. And so, their running backs are pretty awful. And, it's all on Lamar, and Lamar is good enough to overcome that against decent teams. I'm not saying bad teams. I'm saying decent teams. He can overcome that. Buffalo's a good goddamn team, and I'm sorry, you can call me Homer all you want. They're, to me, still the best team in the league. I still think that, even though they lost last week, if you go purely by records, they're not. But just the eye test and watching them and seeing them, I don't think, especially when they're full strength, I don't think there's a team that can beat them. So I just think Buffalo is, they are pissed. Ken Dorsey and I looked a lot like each other at the end of that game last week. But they're pissed. They're going to come out, and I love this bet, and not just because I'm a homer.
Yeah, there's a reason why they're favored to win it all. They're a fantastic team. They've got the whole package. They've worked hard to build this team back up, and they've done a fantastic job. And now they just have to get the results on the field. And I think they get back to winning ways this week.
I agree with that. All right, our next bet we do is a parlay. That's when you put multiple bets together, and it doesn't have to be teams, and it can be, you can do money line, you can do spread, you can do overs and unders, whatever you want. You can even parlay player props. But you put them together to try to make your odds better. Like when I was looking at my straight pick, my first thought was Green Bay. I went to Green Bay and I looked and they were like -400 and something, and it was like 40. I think it was 470. So they were like 47 to win 10. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put them in a parlay because they're going to win and I want to increase those odds. So my parlay this week, I have a 4-teamer. I got Pittsburgh, I got Dallas, I got Carolina, and I got Green Bay. And they're all on the money line. So all they got to do is win straight up, no points. and that $20 is going to win me 94. When you talk about Pittsburgh, there's a lot of talk about Trubisky should be done and it should be Pickett and this and that and the other thing. And I'm not going to argue that. But what I will say is that regardless of who they put in, the Jets have Zach Wilson back. And he's back. He's coming off an injury, and that never bodes well. I mean, I shouldn't say never, but more often than not, it does not bode well. And I just think when you look at coaches, and I like Saleh, but I think Tomlin's just too good of a goddamn coach to let the Jets beat him, regardless of who's playing. And will a Zach Wilson coming off an injury even be better than
Trubisky?
Flacco? No, than Flacco. Will he even be better than him? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like,
there were times last year he wasn't better than Mike White. I mean,
yeah, that's true.
This is going to be very interesting for the Jets. I think, like I can see why they're bringing him back, because he's the guy, right? He's supposed to be the guy. Flacco's not going to build, grow with this team. Zach Wilson is, but I mean, there's going to be a point, man, where you're going to have to look at this and see if he's really the guy or not. So I'm not sure he's the guy, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you can say part of that is supporting cast, and you're partly right there, but in coaching and everything. But I don't think he's the guy either. With Dallas, we look at the Dallas game. Cooper Rush, where the hell? What? Who the hell thought he was going to be this good? I sure as hell didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
But on top of that, even if he wasn't doing good, I'm looking at it going, Carson Wentz sucks. I'm looking at it going, Dallas defense is going to make his life a living hell. He still can't figure out how to deal with pressure in the pocket. Like, and that's what Dallas D is too good for him. So that's why I'm taking Dallas there. Carolina. And I heard this on the radio. You know, I'm in Arizona, so the local radio is, you know, all Cardinals. And they said it, and they said it so quick because they didn't want to say it again. But I want to say something like they haven't won. Arizona hasn't won in Carolina since like 2013 or something like that. It was something ungodly where Carolina, you know, when you look at Tom Brady owned the Bills when he was in New England. He fucking owned the Bills. Like Rodgers owned the Bears. Like, that's understandable. Carolina owning the Cardinals is not understandable especially when you're going that. You can't even blame Cliff. You can't even blame Kyler for that as much as I want to. Like, when you go that far, it's like, for some reason, teams just dominate other teams, and usually it's because Rodgers has good games and Brady has good games. But this is just unexplainable. So I'm going with that trend. Arizona is still not figuring out. You can tell they're definitely hurting without D-Hop. And I just think Carolina wins it. In Green Bay, look, Green Bay is not the Green Bay of yesteryear. Without Devontae Adams, they're definitely hurting. However, this is one of those things we talked about at the beginning of the show. Rodgers is starting to learn those rookies. He's starting to learn his wide receivers. He's starting to get them. They have not scored a ton of points. I think their average per game is like 21, which is low for them. But they're playing Brian Hoyer. Mac Jones is out. They got Brian Hoyer. It's the Brian Hoyer show. And I honestly don't think Brian Hoyer is a bad backup. Like, he's not a terrible backup to have. But I don't think he's good enough to beat Green Bay. Even in New England, I don't think he's good enough to beat Green Bay.
No, I don't think so either. I don't. I think you're starting to see the Patriots on the downswing in a big way, and I know two people here who are probably not sad about that.
No, but you know, I like Mac Jones. I do. I think he's a decent quarterback. I don't think he's the second time Brady. But that's got to be hard too, coming out of college and expecting to be the next Tom Brady. Like, it wasn't Cam. They went through a year with Cam. They said it's not Cam.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting Mac Jones because you're going to be the guy. So they can't be easy to step in those shoes. And I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
But he's not that. I do like him. I think he's a decent quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Probably top 15, top 20 maybe. But he's not good enough to do that. And even without him, now you're looking at Brian Hoyer, and it's like, no.
No, I don't think so either.
What's your parlay this week?
I got a 2-teamer, and for some reason, I'm jumping back on the Minnesota Vikings. I've got them. They're playing in England this week against the Saints. So I'm taking Minnesota and Cleveland. That $20 is going to win me 42. Cleveland is playing at Atlanta. Cleveland's got to be like they're 2-1, but they just there's something that's like not right about Cleveland for some reason. But I think there's less right about Atlanta right now. I think Cleveland wins this game. I think it's close. They do have to travel to Atlanta, but doesn't it seem like Cleveland, like even when they win, there's like something wrong, and I just don't understand it. But I think that Atlanta's still trying to find their way. I think Mariota. I like Mariota. He's basically a stopgap until they can get Desmond in there. But I like the Browns this week going to Atlanta. I think they win this game. The Browns are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 against the Falcons. I like that very, very much. I'm also taking Minnesota against New Orleans. Minnesota, I think, got back on track last week. And we talked about how Detroit is probably not as bad as 2021 made them out to be. Minnesota pulls it out at the end. Minnesota looked horrible against Philadelphia. They looked just like garbage. But I like their chances against New Orleans. I think they have a better offense than New Orleans. I think they have a better quarterback than New Orleans. I think they go over there and win. And that game starts at 6:30 in the morning. So the good news is if Minnesota finds a way to not win, I can rebet my parlay for the 10 o'clock games and still have put Cleveland back on it. So that's a good thing. But I like Minnesota and Cleveland this week. And I picked them on the money line, so I don't have to worry about points or anything. Just win the bloody game. Just win the game.
I can't. I deliberately stayed away from this game. I did tease this game, but I stayed away from this game. I think it's going to be close. I think I think everybody knows why Cleveland's so good this year, and by so good I mean winning so much. They have the record they do, and it's because of Chubb. It has nothing to do with Jacoby Brissett, and he's not doing terrible, and he's got I don't know 40 something starts under his belt or something like that. Like that's also a very good backup quarterback to have, but I don't think he carries the team. I think it's Chubb, and without him, they're not that good. So actually straight up winning this game, I don't know, man. I think it's going to be close. So that's why I stayed away from it. I did tease it later. We'll talk about that later. But hey, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be close. As far as the Saints, my problem, I never thought Minnesota was that good. I'm not a Kirk Cousins fan. I don't think he's very good. I think he's overpaid. I think Winston is better when he's fully healthy. The problem is he's not fully healthy, and that causes issues there. You got 2 great running backs there, and Michael Thomas is back, and he's showing he's back, but he's got Jameis thrown to him, so it's really hard. Without Justin Jefferson, Kirk Cousins that team is terrible. I'm just telling you that right now. I mean, you got Cook, and you say, yeah, Cook, but when that's all your team is, you're not going to get very far. And Cleveland's just fortunate enough to be getting that far with just the running back. But I don't think Minnesota and Kirk Cousins can overcome that. But this is yet again one that I teased because I didn't. I think it's going to be another close one, and I'm afraid to touch it. on the money line like that. And you misspoke. The good thing about it being 6:30. The good thing about it being 6:30 is we can start drinking at 6:30.
Yeah, for sure. Or if it starts going sideways, I can go back to sleep.
Yeah, that too.
I've never been a Jameis guy. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's good. He's a 30-30. He's a 30-30 guy in the NFL. 30 touchdowns and 30 picks. Like, that's not supposed to happen. I think his decision making is not that great. Now, I think he's a little bit better than he was in Tampa, but I don't think this is a guy that is going to take you to the promised land.
I agree with you there, but the problem is the reason Kirk Cousins should be a 30-30 guy. He should be. The reason he's not is because he doesn't throw the damn ball downfield. He is the definition of check down. Now, this year, you've seen some success when he says, "Oh, it's Justin Jefferson. I'm going to give him the ball." But look what happened against Philly. He tried to give him the ball, and even Justin Jefferson quit on routes because he knew better. Like, Kirk Cousins doesn't have those stats because he doesn't take the chance. You can say, well, yeah, he's protecting the ball, but when you're getting an average of 7 yards a pass, like, you're not going to get very far. You're not going to win a lot of games. So I do agree with you. I mean, I'm not a huge Winston fan. I just do think he is better than Kirk Cousins. But I don't know. Like I said, this is a toss-up game for me.
Okay, yeah. I mean, they got to play the games, and we'll see what kind of Jameis shows up. You know, it's
Yeah,
that's the crapshoot. Is like which Jameis you can get. You can get the 4 touchdown Jameis. You can get the 4 interception Jameis. I don't know.
I agree with that.
I hope for my sake it's 4 interceptions.
Let's get into our teaser. Now, once again, a teaser is like a parlay where you have to do more than one bet. And it could be overs, it could be teams, but it has to be points. You cannot take the money line. It has to be points. And you're teasing the game in your favor. But when you do that, it makes it easier to win. Vegas isn't stupid, so they make your odds lower. So I actually have a 2, 4, 6, 7 team teaser this week. I had a big one. So I took New Orleans, Chicago, Buffalo, Atlanta, Carolina, and Green Bay all on the tease. So we just talked about that New Orleans game. I think it's going to be close. So if I can tease it, make it plus 8.5. And by the way, who the hell knows what happens in London? Like, every year, London is a crapshoot game.
Yeah.
So I'll take my chances with getting more than a touchdown there. Chicago plus 9. I'm surprised Chicago's 2-1. I'll be honest with you. My big thing here is they're playing the Giants, and I am not at all using last week as the only determination of that. I'm using the fact that the wins they did get weren't fantastic. And you got Daniel Jones, who I liked him in his first year. I'm like, oh, this kid's going to be good. And he's not. And you got Dable, who is a quarterback guy and likes to run him and move him. But you look at him on first down, and he doesn't know what the hell to do. So I'm more picking against Daniel Jones here than I am anything else. Buffalo, you got the battle of the best 2 quarterbacks picked in the draft. You know, that was a quarterback loaded draft. When you look at Baker, Darnold, Rosen, Allen, and Lamar all went in the first round, and they were all supposed to be these fantastic things. And, you know, Rosen, he's pushing carts at Walmart, and you got Lamar was the last pick in that draft, and he was the first one with an MVP. And I even said personally, I go, you know, I wanted Lamar. And I said it before that draft. I said, I want Lamar. If they can't get Lamar, I want Josh Allen. Those were my 2 quarterbacks right out the gate. I didn't want Baker. I didn't want Rosen. I didn't want Donald. And he and you got these 2 battling it out, and it's just going to be a hell of a game. I really do think, but I think Buffalo is the best. And Buffalo, even with last week's loss, people are putting, you know, Buffalo 3rd in the league behind Miami and Kansas City. But Vegas isn't stupid. Vegas has tons of people that paid a lot of money to run numbers and do things and look at things and see everything and this and that and the other thing. And they still have Buffalo as the Super Bowl champion, even after that loss. So, like, they know what they're talking about. They know Buffalo's the best team in the league, so I'm going with that. And why not tease it up and make Buffalo +3 for myself? Dallas, we already talked about. Why not get him plus points?
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, back to that game. I once again, I think it's going to be close. So I'm going to take Atlanta +7. I'll get a touchdown and be happy with that. Carolina, we talked about. Why not get them +5? And then Green Bay, we talked about, and they're -9.5 right now. So I'll tease them and take a -3.5. And I'm a little worried that it's going to be a field goal game just because it's 3.5. But I'm still going to take my chances for $20 to win 180. I'll take my chances. And this is you see, I have a couple of repeat bets in here, and I could win, I could lose. Like I have Dallas on my parlay, and I have Dallas, Carolina, and Green Bay. I'll have them on my parlay and my teaser. I could lose my parlay on the money line, but I could still win my teaser with it. So
for sure.
But I could also get double hit on that. So it's a chance I'm willing to take.
Well, yeah, and that's a good payout there, 180 on a 7-teamer. I like you. I like, even though I took Cleveland on my parlay, I like you taking Atlanta on the teaser, getting 7 points at home. I think that's a really good bet. I think we both think it's going to be a close game, so we can, in theory, we can both win on that, and that would be a great thing.
Yeah, I agree with that. What are you teasing this week? You got a couple of them, huh?
I do my same AM PM. In the morning, I got Indianapolis +2.5, Chicago +9, Detroit +2, the Chargers +1, and Philadelphia -1. That $20 is going to pay me 84. Really on the Lions again. I think that the Lions are the way. They're 3-0 against the spread this year. They're 1-2 overall, but when we're talking about against the spread, we like that. So Detroit's favored by 4 to 4.5. I'm going to move that, add 6 points to that, so they can get 2 points with Detroit at home against Seattle. I'm waiting for the wheels to fall off with Geno Smith. I think they're almost there. I think it's going to be very soon, and that shit show is going to be in full force. So that 20 will get me 84. The Colts are at home against Tennessee. I thought Tennessee looked pretty good for the first quarter and a half last week, and then they held on for their dear lives. I like it the way that Indianapolis is playing right now. That's a big win against Kansas City last week. It's a good win for Matt Ryan. That's a win that could set that team up to challenge for the division. The Chargers, we talked about them playing at Houston. You took Houston in your straight bet, getting 5 points at home. I teased that the other direction. I think the Chargers win this game, but I'm with you. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be very close. And then
we could both win.
Yes, and that's always a good thing, right? And then I got Philadelphia winning the Uncle Rico Bowl in Jacksonville. So let's do it.
The Philly Jacksonville game. It's two teams that, I mean, Philly was a playoff team last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not shocked that they're doing well. I'm shocked at how well they're doing. And I do like Hurts. I'm a Hurts fan. I know a lot of people aren't. I am. And when you throw in AJ Brown, like, come on, that's lights out.
Yeah.
But it's a big shock how Jacksonville's doing it. And it's more so on how they're doing it. It's not T-Law, and not that he's not having a decent year, because he is, but it's more their defense. Like, their defense is stout.
Defense looked great last week.
Yeah.
They look fantastic.
And so, like, it's scary to think that Christian Kirk is your leading receiver. But at the same point, you paid him to be, so he better damn well be. But I take Philly -1 on this all day with you. I'm with you on that. I'm just so surprised at how this is going with those two teams. Detroit, I am a little worried about, just because there's no Swift. DeAndre Swift isn't playing.
Yeah.
So that worries me a little bit. But you're right. It's Seattle, and they're in full tank mode, trying to get that first pick. I don't know if Pete Carroll is acting very well, or if he just, for some reason, this year looks like a deer in headlights. I don't know what it is. But I like this. I like this bet all the way around.
I think Seattle's just at a point. They just don't have the talent anymore. They just don't have it, and they had a great 8 to 10 year run, and now it's time for them to rebuild, just like all the other teams that have the good runs, right? So,
well, and you feel bad for DK Metcalf. He's a freaking stud. But on top of that, it just goes to show you, like, yes, there is something to be said about stud players, but there's more to be said about this as a team sport. Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf together were incredible. You separate them, and yes, DK's still a stud, but he's not getting the numbers he is. You see what's happened with Russell Wilson in Denver. They're not, it's yes, they're both studs individually, but putting them together was unstoppable. And now you tear them apart, and it's like, this isn't so good.
So what do they say? The sum is bigger than the what do they say? The sum is bigger than the individual parts, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, correct.
But yeah, for sure. I totally see what you're saying.
All right, what's your second one?
PM. I'm taking the Raiders to get off the schneid against the Broncos. I got Green Bay as well, -3.5. I've got Tampa Bay +6 and San Francisco +5 against the Rams. The Raiders have to get it together. And I don't know about you, but I have not been impressed with Denver at all. And it's not just because I don't like the Broncos. Like, I thought they looked like trash last week. They put together one good drive to win the football game. One drive. I mean, and that's
completely agree.
I mean, the defense played great, but I think the Raiders, this is a game the Raiders have to win. They just have to. If they don't win this game, this could be a very long season. The players are getting pissed. Devontae's pissed. Mark Davis is pissed. He had a closed door with McDaniels after the game on Sunday. This team has to win on Sunday. They have to win, or the season is done for them. Tampa Bay is playing this week.
Kansas City.
I forgot who they're playing. Awesome.
Kansas City.
Oh man, it's because it's a Thursday, right? It's that whole COVID NFL schedule, right? I'm taking Tampa Bay +6. Now the obvious variable is, are they going to play the game in Tampa, or are they not going to play the game in Tampa? That's a huge issue. If this game goes off in Tampa, I'm taking the +6, and I'm taking it because of Brady, but I'm also taking it because the weather may have an impact. And if the weather has an impact, I see a lower scoring game, and that 6 points could be very, very huge. Like, if that game is a punt fest, that game could end 10-6. I mean, we saw what Tampa Bay did last week. I mean, that game was a snooze-a-thon. But if you had +6, that was the difference, right? It was 14-12. So I'm not impressed with Kansas City anymore. I'm kind of over it. I think the loss of Hill was huge. I think it's more than people in Kansas City want to think it is. They're like, oh, we got Kelsey, we got Schuster, we got Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, but that guy with the breakaway speed and who could change the game, like literally change the game, is gone. So that 20 is going to win me 52. I like San Francisco against the Rams. San Francisco just seems to play great against the Rams. Unless it's the NFC Championship game, they play great.
Well, okay, so back to Vegas. My only worry about them, my two worries, Denver's dog shit. Okay, they just are. But Vegas' secondary is damaged.
Oh, yeah.
Carr is, I like Carr, but he needs longer than 3 weeks to get used to a new offense. He's just not good enough to get used to a new offense that quickly. So he needs more time. So is this time yet or not? I don't know, but what better time to do it than a shitty Denver team? We talked about Green Bay already. Tampa Bay, look, they're getting Evans back this week. I think that game is a lot different last week if Evans is there. So they're going to have Evans back. And like you said, if they do play it in Florida, there's still going to be weather, even if it's not the hurricane. There's still going to be weather, and if it's weather, it's a running game, and
Yep.
I'll take Leonard Fournette every day that
Yes.
ends in Y.
Same.
And so that's a game where if it is weather, it's no longer Brady versus Mahomes. It's Fournette versus Edwards-Helaire, and Fournette wins all day long. And same thing in San Francisco. It's no longer about the quarterbacks. It's about this game. To me, is Bosa versus Donald.
Yeah,
who wins that game?
That's going to be incredible to watch. I'm glad that it's the Monday night game. I really am.
So that's where I'm at on that. But I do like it. I think it's a spot on bet right there. All right, next thing we're gonna do player props. And that's just betting on stuff that players are going to do. It does not matter the outcome of the game as long as it hits. Last week, you guys saw on Twitter when I hit that Singletary scored the first touchdown. It didn't matter that Buffalo lost. They still won that bet because he scored the first touchdown. So I actually made mine a parlay this week, and I put 3 different bets in that parlay. I put Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence each to throw an interception. The actual bet is over 0.5. Okay, it's over 0.5 interceptions. So they basically each got to throw one. Zach Wilson is coming off the injury. We already talked about that. Pittsburgh. They'll get there. I mean, granted, without Watt, they're a little different, but they're going to get an interception. And Trevor Lawrence, I'm not saying anything bad about him. I'm just saying that maybe not the word you look for, but when you look at Philly's defense, like they're going to get that ball once. And
he's
still
a young quarterback.
Correct. And the nice thing about those bets is, how many times have you watched an NFL game and go, that interception was not the quarterback's fault?
Yep.
And regardless of whose fault it is, it goes against the quarterback, and I win my bet there. I'm also throwing Aaron Donald to get over 3.5 tackles and assists. So if he gets 1 tackle alone and 3 assisted tackles, he gets over 3.5 tackles and assists, and I win. I'm betting he has 2 sacks alone, and he's going to get at least 2 tackles. So I thought that was an easy bet. 20 to win 56. I'll take that all day long.
I think that's a good add on there, because I think that game's going to be a defensive struggle, and I love the fact that I mean, Aaron Donald is playing out of his mind, and I don't think San Francisco has the capability to stop him. This game's going to be like 13-10, but it's going to be a fun 13-10 game.
Correct. And that what was it, the right tackle or left tackle, whoever it was, went down last week, and they're going to just exploit it, and it's going to be it's going to be, as far as scoring is concerned, I don't think it's going to be very high scoring.
No,
which leads into Aaron Donald getting me a lot of tackles. So
100%.
I'm good. I love your prop bet this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of taking the softball, to be honest with you. I'm taking Lamar Jackson under 52.5 rushing yards against the Buffalo defense. That defense is stout. That defense is so good. And if they can just make Lamar throw the ball, I think they win this game, and I think they win this game in a rout. I don't have the same. I don't hold Lamar Jackson in the same esteem as you do. I don't think he got an MVP. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's a good passer. He's a great runner and not a good passer. I think that with Buffalo's front, all they have to do is just keep getting pressure on Jackson, and just hit him, and that's going to be a long day for him. The other thing too is that 52.5 rushing yards for any quarterback is like, man, that's a ton. For Jackson, it's not that much comparatively speaking.
Correct.
But I think that the Buffalo defense is going to play to just stop him and keep him in the pocket and make him throw the ball. And if they can do that, then 1, I'll win my bet. 2, they're going to blow out the Ravens.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And look, you look at what they did to Miami last week, and they did not have Jordan Phillips or Ed Oliver, and they still held them. If those guys are back this week, which I mean, they were limited participants in practice, so well, Jordan Phillips didn't practice, but Oliver was limited practice. Like, if even one of them comes back, it's game over for. He's not going to get anywhere. But they did it without them last week, and yes, I understand. You got Tre'Davious White out. You've got Micah Hyde out. Like, I understand the backfield is there. I don't think Lamar is a terrible passer, but he is definitely by far not the best passer. But that defense was good enough to do it against. And I still don't think Tua is a fantastic quarterback, but he was playing hot. And sometimes you go on those streaks, and anything you do, you go on those streaks where you're hot, and he was hot, and they still held him up with backups there. I think they're going to do the same thing with Lamar. And I love this bet. I saw that, and I'm like, oh, that's a freaking great bet. I think I have to jump on that.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. I look at it and I'm like, man, there's everything, especially with Buffalo coming in irritated. They're cranky from last week. They want to make everything right. You got it's basically strength against strength. When you think about it, you got a dual option quarterback in Jackson going against that defensive front, which is incredible. I just think that it's going to be one of those games where Buffalo just takes Jackson right out of it.
Well, and on top of that, we talked about how Baltimore's defense is depleted and they're playing rookies and they're getting burnt and they can't stop anything. Well, when that happens, when Buffalo just goes up, Buffalo scored on their opening drive the past 8 games in a row. I think it was something like that. Yep. 7 or 8 games in a row they scored on the opening drive. When you go down, and I understand you're Baltimore and your power is Lamar running the ball, but when you go down points, and let's say the first drive they don't get points and Buffalo scores on the second, you have to throw the ball. And I understand you're still Lamar, but you have to throw the ball. The only thing that could possibly about that little teeny bit worries me is Lamar does have the ability to break a big run. And yes, one big run, and all of a sudden this is out the window. So
true.
That's like, on a 100-yard football field, that's 2 feet of my worry. But it is a little bit of a worry that you need to think about. But I still love this bet.
Yeah, I think this is a winner for sure.
So, all right. Well, that concludes our Week 4 edition. Once again, pay attention to Twitter, Facebook, because we'll throw bets on there, other bets that we do, because like we said, we don't do everything. And then hit us up on there. And now we're on Spotify, we're on YouTube, we're all over the place. So you can listen to us anywhere. And please ask questions, hit us up, tell us your thoughts, tell us you think we're full of shit. I don't care. Just tell us something. We love to talk about it all day long. Like, that's what we do. So let us know. But we hope you got some good stuff. We hope you guys take down Vegas. BS, I love you, brother. I hope you have a great weekend.
Same to you. I hope the Bills come back and get back in the win column. I hope the Raiders finally get their crap together. Yeah, that'd be nice. And whether you take our picks or fade our picks, we want you to win big. We want you to take down Vegas. So we hope you got something good out of this today. We hope we at least made you think about things. Maybe you go and do some more research on something. Maybe you heard a stat, or you heard a point that, maybe you're going to go and investigate that Buffalo defense just to make sure that you really like them this week against the Ravens. But either way, let's make some money and let's have a good weekend.
I agree. And as a reminder, this is purely entertainment. We do not guarantee anything we predict. So make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, make sure you get the word out about us and let everybody know. And have a great weekend, everybody.
Bye-bye, everybody.